When I was a freshman in high school, I failed one marking period each of my world history class, my geometry, and biology classes. I finished the year with a 1.8 GPA. See, when I was a student, much to my parents' and teachers' dismay, I hated doing homework. It always felt like a chore to me. Don't get me wrong, I loved school. I was an energetic and curious kid. I loved learning new things and was eager to master new skills. Like most kids. But like most kids, when I was a teenager, I really didn't see the purpose or care about a lot of the work that was assigned to me by my teachers. At the time, my teachers would often tell my parents, Adam's a bright kid. He pays attention in class, he participates, he socializes, but his grades are suffering. He's not working to his full potential. I had a few teachers growing up who helped me see this potential. They did this by working with me to help me discover my passions, interests, and skills. My sixth grade math teacher, Miss Delaney, saw that I was capable but not motivated. I used to try to set the record for longest bathroom break during her class. Not because I didn't like her. In fact, she's somewhere in the audience here tonight. But she saw that I was bored. But she saw something else in me as well. One day after class, she came up to me and said, Adam, how do you feel about teaching a lesson to the class? I thought about it for a minute. My dad was a teacher. I always thought that it would be kind of cool. It had to be better than being a student. I would have control over what we did in the class. I would get to choose what we did. I would have a lot of agency that I was rarely afforded as a student. So for the next week after school, I met with Miss Delaney and we prepared a lesson. I worked ahead of my class, preparing a slideshow and a lesson plan for them. I put together homework. I did the homework. I created an answer key. I did all of this work for myself. I remember coming home from school the day before the lesson and my parents asking me, as they always did, Adam, do you have any homework? And I responded, as I always did, nope. But I do have some stuff I have to finish up for class tomorrow. So what's the difference? What's the difference between homework and having some stuff to do to prepare for class tomorrow? To me, at the time, it was because this wasn't something I was doing for a grade or because my teacher told me I had to do it. I chose to do this. I was intrinsically motivated to do it. It was challenging to me. I was excited by it. It was something that I thought I was going to be good at. Needless to say, this is not the last lesson that I would teach. When I graduated college, I was hired by my former principal to teach social studies at my former alma mater. On the first day of school, I ran into my former geometry teacher. She took one look at me and said, it looks like you figured out how to do your homework. Now, she was right, but much more importantly than how to do my homework, I figured out why I wanted to do my homework. I figured out why I wanted to apply myself academically. I wanted to teach. Students being bored in class is nothing new. Of course, neither are adults feeling bored and unfulfilled and unsatisfied with their work or in their lives. A Yale research group surveyed 22,000 high school students to see how they felt about school. 75% of respondents said more than anything, they felt bored, stressed, and tired throughout the school day. This connects with a lot of other evidence that shows a rise in stress, anxiety, and depression among the US population more broadly. This isn't just a red flag. These are flashing neon signs that we need to take a step back and reflect on what is happening and how we can address it. I believe de-emphasizing extrinsic motivators like grades or salaries or likes and shares on social media, or really any other form of comparison, allows us to focus our energy on fostering our passions and our interests, whatever those might be. People who follow their passion live more satisfying and fulfilling lives. Don't just take my word for it. These ideas were written about in the earliest known human texts, and modern research backs it up time and time again. People who are intrinsically motivated are more independent and self-directed. They're more innovative and creative. They have a stronger sense of their core values, and most importantly, report a greater sense of overall well-being and satisfaction in their lives. This might just be the antidote to those flashing signs we were just talking about. So, how do we create intrinsic motivation? I believe more than anything, it takes time and space for reflection. Reflection is when we can turn our attention inward. In Johann Hari's book, Stolen Focus, he describes 3 layers of our attention that I believe help us understand the importance of reflection in finding our passions. The first layer of our attention is our spotlight focus. Our spotlight is our ability to do what we want to do or focus on a particular task at hand. You're all using your spotlight focus right now to hopefully blur out distractions and focus on me and what I'm saying on this stage. The next layer of our attention is our starlight. Our starlight is the attention that we use to figure out, to be who we want to be, or to accomplish long-term goals and live to our values. We call it starlight because it's like somebody who might look to the North Star to get themselves pointed in the right direction on a long-distance journey. And finally, we have our daylight. Our daylight is the attention that we need to figure out what we want to do and who we want to be. In other words, our daylight is the attention that we use to figure out what we want to focus our spotlight on and what stars we want to reach for in the first place. Our daylight is being obscured by many forces. The world we live in today makes it nearly impossible to slow down and stop to reflect. We are inundated constantly with information, notifications, and distractions from our phones and everywhere else in our lives. In fact, one of the most profitable markets in the world today is something called the attention economy. This is corporations' competition over a valuable and finite resource, our attention. Some of the brightest minds in the world sit around devising new ways to take just a little bit more of your attention each day. How can they get you to pick up your phone one more time or scroll for just one more minute? An example of this is the infinite scroll mechanic that exists on essentially all social media platforms today. This was invented in 2004 to increase user engagement. But according to its own developer, Asa Raskin, today, this mechanic wastes almost 200,000 lifetimes worth of time each day around the world. I'm sure we can all acknowledge some of our own time that has been lost to an mindless, endless scroll. In school and often at home, we emphasize the traditional spotlight focus. Pay attention, don't get distracted, stay on task. But we rarely tend to our daylight. How can we clear the fog from our daylight so we can see more clearly what we want to do and who we want to be? One way that I've tried to clear my daylight is deleting social media apps from my phone and limiting the notifications that buzz every day, taking my spotlight unintentionally away from what I want to focus it on. Another important strategy for clearing out our daylight is something called mind wandering or daydreaming. Neuroscience has had remarkable breakthroughs in the benefits of mind wandering. Dr. Marcus Reichel at the Washington University School of Medicine explains that mind wandering allows our brains space to make connections between ideas. It allows us to take ideas for a walk and see how they feel, see if they fit. It allows us to be curious, to ask questions. It allows us to explore our daylight and figure out what we want to do and who we want to be. We don't value this time enough. When was the last time you took a long walk without your phone or your headphones? Or took 10 minutes or more to meditate and just let your mind wander. We need to dispel the illusion that this kind of thinking is a waste of time. Often, this is when we have our most valuable aha moments. So what if we shifted the emphasis of education away from content, and towards unleashing student potential by helping them discover their passions, interests, and unique skills? Sudbury Valley School is a private school in Massachusetts that aims to do exactly this. The homepage of their website reads, "In the vibrant community of Sudbury Valley, students of all ages explore the world at their own pace and in their own unique ways. They're responsible for designing their own paths to adulthood." This school has done away with basically everything that we consider modern education today. There are no classes, no grades, no curriculum, and no teachers by the traditional standard. Students of all ages designed their own activities and challenges, both collectively and individually, for the day, the week, the month, and the year. Staff is at school to act as guides and mentors for these students to help them achieve and accomplish their goals. But they are not there as adversaries, as disciplinarians, and certainly not as the source of all knowledge. In fact, the school is run entirely democratically through a weekly school meeting that discusses issues around the school, new school rules, discipline, even hiring and firing of new staff. Every member of the school, from students, preschool students of age 4 and up, to staff members of age 75, attend these meetings and have an equal single vote. The goal of this school is emphatically clear. Empower students to discover and uncover their own passions, interests, and unique skills. They do this by allowing them to explore themselves, to engage with peers of all ages and hone their unique skills and see how they can apply in a collective setting and see how they might make a path for themselves through adulthood. Now, this might sound great to you, but it might also sound outlandish. I understand that. What I'm curious about is what kind of impact does this kind of education have on people, both the students who attend the school and, importantly, the adults that those students turn into. Are 75% of them bored, stressed, and tired all the time? Thankfully, SVS has been educating kids since the 1960s, and there have been studies of what their alumni do and are up to in their lives today. The studies of SVS alumni show that their model is effective. Their alumni are engaged, employed, and successful in a wide array of professional fields. But much more importantly for our question today, they report far above the national average to be living lives that they find are interesting, engaging, challenging, fulfilling, and satisfying. Don't get me wrong. I understand that living in our passion all the time can be difficult. In fact, the realities of life can make this seem impossible. But the question is not, how can I do what I want all the time? But rather, how can I bring my passion and interest to what I'm already doing? How can I create just a little more space in my life for my passions and interests? However, if we don't take control of our attention, we risk never understanding and finding what those passions and interests were in the first place. We risk chasing our spotlight mindlessly through the fog without purpose or meaning, rather than directing it at our goals with attention. So I want to leave you with this. Take time to clear your daylight. Help others clear out their own. Then discover what you are interested in, what you are passionate about, what motivates you, and who you want to be. Then reach for your stars. Thank you.